Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Talk of the Town podcast. If you have not already, make sure to hit that subscribe button. So we're on the road to 100 subscribers here on the YouTube channel. We are getting so close to that mark. If you love sports rankings, my reactions, sports betting, sports news, anything at all in the sports world, it's all right here on the Talk of the Town podcast. So I promise you that subscription will be well worth it. And in today's video, I'm just going to be reacting to all of Sunday's games from yesterday, talking about the Joe Burrow injury and how that could affect the Bengals and just what I think are some of Sunday's best games. And if you are wondering which Patriots jersey I'm wearing, I know you can't see the number because it doesn't quite fit in the camera. Just in case it did pop up at all at any point, you see number 10. I promise you, it is not a Mac Jones jersey because I would not torture myself with that. I was never a believer in Mac Jones, ever in my life. Even his rookie year, I was like, dude, I don't know. The arm, it didn't look right. I think I watched a lot of those games. He had a really bad schedule. All right, I trust me. I was never a Mac Jones fan in New England. This is a Drake May jersey. I decided to put it on. I have a plethora of weird Patriots jerseys up there. And if you're wondering why I'm wearing it today, Patriots won yesterday. Every time they get a win, I record the next day on the podcast, I'm going to put on one of my Patriots jerseys to wear. So I think next time I'm going to try getting it a little more in the frame with the number, but I got to work on that with my camera and everything. But yeah, let's get into today's video. We're going to start off with the Falcons and Vikings game from last night, Sunday Night Football. This game kind of had a lot of mixed reviews, even coming into the game. A lot of people were like, the second week of the season, and the Sunday Night Football game is Atlanta versus Minnesota. Now, personally, I don't care. I just love watching football. But to a lot of people who just want to watch it to watch the mainstream teams, they don't really want to watch Atlanta and Minnesota. Yeah, I mean, Minnesota's a good team. These are two pretty good teams, but they'd rather watch Buffalo and Kansas City or have some juggernaut team. I'm trying to think of, again, even the Cowboys and Giants, two massive markets. They would probably rather have that game on than Atlanta and Minnesota. So that game had some mixed reviews coming into it. Again, I didn't care. I just love watching football regardless. I watch every game, so... But that game already had mixed reviews coming in, and the game was kind of a slugfest, kind of a snooze fest for a majority of the game. 22-6, Falcons take the win in that game. To be honest with you, I thought the Falcons played a good game, but they didn't quite blow Minnesota out of the water. But it never really felt close. So I guess in terms of that, maybe you can say they did. To me, I take notes on this. The Falcons constantly seem like they leave 14 plus points on the board every single game they play. Like, they are always leaving points on the board. And I don't know, it's some with the Ricky Morris era, and you can even say it for any, you can look back to any football game and say, oh, well, maybe they could have scored this if they did this, but the Falcons constantly seem like they leave 10, 14 plus points on the board in every game I watch them. It is incredibly aggravating sometimes. And again, they have an offense that is extremely explosive. Like, there's multiple teams that would beg to have a Falcons-level offense. I mean, they have receivers everywhere. Bijan, Tyler Allgeier's a really good 1-2 punch. Bijan's one of the best running backs in the NFL. Drake London is a pretty premier wide receiver one. Darnell Mooney. I mean, you have really good receivers on that team and a pretty good offensive line as well. So there's no excuse. I don't know what their red zone percentage is. I have to look it up after I'm done here, but there's no way they have one of the worst red zone percentages in terms of touchdown percentage in the league, because they are, again, constantly leaving points on the board. It drives me crazy watching the Falcons and seeing that sometimes. But, I mean, I thought the Falcons played a pretty good game. Their defense really stepped up, and I know that's what Falcons fans have been looking for, because their offense has played well. They haven't necessarily played great, but they played well. They played all right. And the defense, last year was not good at all with a defensive head coach. I've been very critical of Raheem Morris. I think he is one of the bottom-tier head coaches in the NFL, to be completely honest with you. I just don't think he's great. I've seen situations in terms of timeout calling. I forget what game it was last year, but it was brutal. And the defense, you have a defensive head coach, but your defense can't get any sacks or any pressure on the quarterback at all. I mean, they had one of the worst defenses in the league last year. You have talent on your defense. So, I mean, that was pretty rough. I I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of Raheem Morris, but last night I think he definitely redeemed himself and hopefully can turn his Falcons career around as a head coach. And this team can play anything like they did. That defense can play anything like they did last night. The offense can step up a little more, which we know they can. This team will finish with around 11 wins. And this game could be 10-7 or 11-6. So this team has the talent to have a winning record, be good, but it just comes in terms of them in the clutch and can they convert into touchdowns, which is one of the things I see the Falcons struggle with all the time is converting, getting in the red zone and converting touchdowns, which they seem to struggle with. So, but on the Falcons side of things, man, JJ McCarthy, and of course, the main news, everything, but it's the main talking point. This team was 14-3 8 months ago. They were a game away from being 15-2 against Detroit and having the number 1 seed in the NFC. And who knows what they could have done? They would have ended up playing against LA. Maybe whoever they would have played against in the divisional, they would have beat, and they could have went on to get or win the Super Bowl. You never know. The situation could have turned out to be way different for the Vikings if they would have got the number 1 seed. So, but McCarthy, this is where the Falcons are in a really weird place. Or excuse me, the Vikings are in a really weird place. You have JJ McCarthy. You're developing a quarterback with a Super Bowl contending roster on a team that just went 14-3 last season. The fan base, and I think Kevin O'Connell and the players themselves do not want to develop a quarterback because your window is so short. And you had a quarterback that you can only hope JJ McCarthy is half as good as. And I seen a guy I watched, John Middlecoff, last year. I was watching it last season. You can only hope JJ McCarthy is half as good as Sam Darnold. He isn't even 1/4 of Sam Darnold right now. He's not even a quarter of what Sam Darnold was. It kind of is. Sam Darnold, you may look at his numbers right now and be like, I think he had 2 touchdowns and 2 picks in terms of last game. He had 1 ball yesterday, and that was not his fault in terms of a pick. He played really good yesterday, though. He played pretty good the first game. He played pretty average, but I think the Vikings are kicking themselves right now, even though they're 1-1 for not keeping Sam Darnold right now. They're really kicking themselves, and they offered him a contract. And yet it didn't come through. I think Sam Darnold didn't quite feel comfortable with McCarthy being there, respectfully so. Darnold went and had a bad game or two, who they'd be calling in for with McCarthy healthy now. McCarthy was not healthy last season, so he didn't have to worry about them chaining in for McCarthy if he had a bad game. That pressure wasn't quite there, but Darnold had a bad game or two, they'd be chaining in for JJ McCarthy. But McCarthy has played 1 good quarter out of 8. And again, if he was playing for Tennessee, if he was playing for New Orleans, Cleveland, none of this would matter. People would not be worried about him playing 1 good quarter out of 8 quarters because they have no expectations. But you're on a team with a Super Bowl window and high expectations. Yeah, this team wants to win right now, and you're not performing to that level. I would say Minnesota, it could get very weird in that building. It could get very, very weird in that Minnesota building right now. I think it could almost kind of get to a Miami Dolphins situation-ish. Again, you have Kevin O'Connell, who is not Mike McDaniel. That Mike McDaniel isn't even viable to have in that organization anymore. So it's different. But in terms of the receiving crew, the players are going to kind of start getting pissed off, especially with JJ McCarthy. Again, Justin Jefferson hasn't quite gotten to this point. People saying, well, he hasn't quite gotten to where he gets mad at his quarterback. Well, he's had Kirk Cousins and Sam Darnold, who have played very good when he's at his time in Minnesota, or at their time with Minnesota. And he hasn't quite had to worry about quarterback play. But now he's having to worry about his quarterback play. And I think next game, if they score 6 points again and lose, and he has another bad outing, you're going to start seeing these receivers getting pissed off. Minnesota is one of the best offensive rosters in the league. The offensive line's a little shaky, but this whole thing with McCarthy can get ugly fast. Like, really, really fast. And you got to have to wonder, like, are they going to start Carson Wentz at some point? Probably not. To be honest with you, I can't necessarily see that maybe getting to that point, but the season looks lost and McCarthy is not showing any improvement. And maybe they're 2-4 and they could maybe still be in the mix. They might bench him. They might legitimately bench JJ McCarthy. So He's going to start showing improvement fast, man. You're not on the Saints. You're not on the Titans. You're not on a rebuilding roster. You are on a roster ready to win now. That's the consequence that comes with it. And you have to play up to that standard. You don't have a choice. Unfortunately for him, you do not have a choice but to play well. The fans and the players are not ready to develop a quarterback. They want a quarterback that is ready to win. I mean, hell, I love Sam Darnold, but he's not the best quarterback in the world. They went 14-3 with it last year. I mean, he had an MVP caliber season. I give him that, but McCarthy has shaky accuracy and a very average arm. Doesn't look very comfortable in the pocket. I don't know. It's not looking good there in Minnesota. Next game I want to talk about here is the Eagles versus the Chiefs. 20-17. I thought the Chiefs they actually kind of played better than the Eagles for the majority of the game. But the score kind of goes to show itself. One of the biggest things that changed the momentum of this game, we all seen it, was Travis Kelce dropping that ball, and it ended up turning into an interception. Now, the left tackle ended up having some freakish chase down, but if it wasn't for that, they'd go on to score 7 points right there. Go on to score 7 points, and the score looks even worse. Mahomes has been kind of shaky. Mahomes has worked some magic. If it's not for him, this team isn't even competitive in both the games they've played in, to be completely honest with you. But he is out there really working his magic, and he has looked really good coming into this season. But he's also had moments where he had Tyquan Thornton wide open yesterday. And even last game against the Chargers, he had a couple throws where he just completely airmailed it. Like, he had a guy wide open for a touchdown down the field, and that's where Mahomes has always been kind of known for that's kind of his forte, is the deep ball. And it's been kind of off, but that ended up kind of not getting talked about because he ended up hitting Tyquan Thornton anyway for a long touchdown anyway at the same drive. So that doesn't really get talked about, but Eagles didn't necessarily blow them out of the water. I don't think they played way better than the Chiefs did. I thought they played a good game, but they didn't play a great game by any chance. Now, with the Eagles, I've never quite seen a team so dominant in terms of being 3rd and 3, 2nd and 3, 3rd and 2, like within that 3-yard range of getting the first down. I've never seen a team as dominant as the Philadelphia Eagles. Like, they get it every time. You have to push this team into being 2nd and long, 3rd and long, or else you're just screwed. Like, you are just screwed. You're not going to stop them because they'll run it with Saquon, or they'll do 2 tush pushes. The tush push is pretty much a guaranteed yard or 2, and they'll just end up going for it on 4th down and getting it. So you have to, when you play Philadelphia, you have to get them in 1st, 2nd, and 3rd and long situations. You don't have a choice, because they'll just kill you on the ground every single time. So, but if I'm the Chiefs, I'm kind of hitting the panic button a little bit, to be completely honest with you. I am a little bit worried if I'm Kansas City. I'm 0-2, against the Giants next week. I think they'll win that game. But the Giants played good yesterday. The Giants was not necessarily a pushover game either. And that's where I think maybe the Chiefs could end up losing that Giants game next week. No game's a gimme. No game is a guaranteed win. This game could end up being a trap game for the Chiefs. If they end up going 0-3, they might have to bag it because they play Baltimore next week or the week after that. So that can be very tough. But I'm in the panic button. You don't get Rashid Rice till week 6 or 7. And Xavier Worthy, I don't know when he's coming back. He practiced apparently this week, so he'll be back sooner than later, but your offense is stagnant, your defense isn't looking good. So this could turn out to be very ugly for Kansas City here coming into next week and the rest of the season. I'm kind of in the panic button on Kansas City a little bit. Their division stuff, they're not in a cakewalk division either. We still have to play the Broncos twice, the Chargers again, and Las Vegas twice, who their roster's pretty decent. And they, no matter how bad Las Vegas is, they always seem to get a game against Kansas City anyway. So Kansas City could have easily won that game, but get out of their hands again. Get it out of the hands of Kelce, literally. Next game I want to talk about is the Broncos versus the Colts here heading into this week, or heading into today. The Broncos and Colts played yesterday, 28-29. Broncos almost had the win besides a leverage call on a 60-yard field goal Ended up costing them the game. Man, that was brutal. What a brutal way to lose if you're Denver. Should have won the game. And I've been very, very critical of the Colts. They definitely played better than what I thought they would have. Now, I'm still not to the point where I think the Colts are going to make the playoffs. I'm still out on that train. I might be one of the few, but they give me another really good game next week. I'll be in on the Colts, but I don't know, man. The Colts, Daniel Jones, I still have a hard time really trusting Daniel Jones. And they should have lost that game yesterday. I mean, he missed the game-winning field goal. And they still played a good game anyway, but that game was they lost it. And they ended up, the leverage call on the center, and they ended up being able to kick another 45-yard field goal and win that game. So, but the Broncos got to be better than that. Bo Nix has not had a great start to his season. He had an okay game yesterday, but yeah, he's kind of taken a step back from last year, I think. I think Bo Nix is definitely taking a step back from last year. And that's one of the things I said with Bo Nix and the Broncos is Bo Nix is not going to take that great step forward. Again, he was the most pro-ready quarterback coming out of the draft last year. There wasn't necessarily much room for improvement for Bo Nix. So that's where I think, it's kind of starting to show a little bit. Now, not necessarily saying that I thought he was going to regress. He hasn't necessarily regressed, but he has not played quite as well. We're only a couple weeks into the season, but definitely a disappointing outing for the Broncos yesterday. And the Colts, man, Tyler Warren looks like a fucking beast out there. How much do the Bears regret picking Colston Loveland over Tyler Warren right now? I think they definitely do, because Loveland hasn't even been a freaking factor with the Bears' offense at all. He hasn't even been a factor in any way, shape, or form in that offense. So, yeah, I think the Colts have a pretty bright future, but I'm still a little back on them this season. I'm a little back. I'm definitely more in on the Colts than I was a week ago or even yesterday, but I'm going to give it another week before I really get on the Colts hype train, because the Saints last year were 2-0 and were like, okay, this team might be contending for a Super Bowl, and then it collapsed fast. And the Colts, maybe it could. I don't know. We'll find out. But that was the Broncos game to lose right there, man, and they did. That was their fault they lost that game. There's no doubt about it. That was a really bad, stupid penalty on the field goal. I was watching that game. I was like, dude, how do you even let that happen? How do you let that happen? That's a bad loss for the Broncos. End up having a chance to be 2-0 and leading your division, and you end up just fumbling it, man. I mean, that's bad football. That's bad football. And Bo Nix, shaky to start off, and Jonathan Taylor was running all over him yesterday, dude. I mean, that was a hell of an outing there from Jonathan Taylor. And he's looking like he's back in top 5 running back for him, that's for sure. Daniel Jones is playing good football. I have to give him credit where it's due. Next game I want to talk about is the Lions versus the Bears. I'll go over this briefly, 52-21. It wasn't like it was close or anything, but man, Caleb Williams. Is it time for Tyson Bagent, or is it time to maybe? What if the Bears end up going 5-12, and they end up they don't end up putting in Tyson Bagent? Ben Johnson does not like Caleb Williams. I can tell you that right now. He does not at all, and it's showing out there. Ben Johnson looks pissed off there on the field. Caleb Williams does not look like an NFL quarterback right now. It's weird because he has all the talent in the world. It's not that he's not talented enough. He's not good enough. Like, if you get what I'm saying, he's just out there. He just does not look like he can play the position good enough. And they weren't even in that game at all. That game was over from the second quarter. It was completely over. And Ben Johnson would look really pissed off. I mean, how long is he going to keep going with Caleb Williams right now? There's fans calling for Tyson Bagent, which is sad. You're the number 1 overall pick in the draft last year. Caleb Williams looked like a generational talent. It's falling on him fast. I think this team's going to finish 5-12. And they might be in the market for a quarterback next year. Caleb Williams might legitimately be on the trading block next year. That's kind of crazy to say, but they're not going to roll another season out of this. They're not going to. Ben Johnson isn't going to do it. So I think this was more in terms of what the Bears' future could be. In terms of the Lions, I was never out of the Lions. I've been saying Lions are perfectly fine. People were out on them after last week, calling them a 7-win team. Lions are fine. They showed it this week. They're perfectly fine. The Lions are going to finish with 11 wins. I'm completely all in on the Lions. That team is star-studded everywhere you look. The roster didn't change. The coordinators changed, which is a big dip. They got head coaching jobs. They were good coordinators, but this roster is too talented at 7 wins. I don't know who in the world is saying that garbage. Bears in trouble. Lions on the uprise. But the Bears, I'm going to talk about them more in another video this week. So I'm going to kind of keep that brief. Pats versus Dolphins here. Dude, what a game for my Pats. Scared me a little bit, but definitely showed, man, that defensive line has been dominant for New England. What they've had, 10 and a half sacks, I think, in the first 2 weeks. The receiving crew could look a little bit better, but I think that'll come in the upcoming weeks. Mike Vrabel's coaching this team hard, man. The Dolphins are in an absolute turmoil right now. They stink, the Dolphins. And I'm not saying that because I'm biased. I'm a Patriots fan, but they suck right now. They're terrible. They are an absolutely, that franchise is in utter disarray. I seen J.J. Watt say something on all-player meetings yesterday. He was saying when players are hosting all-player meetings, season's over. Chalk it. Go home. And they already did after the first week of the season. It's over for Miami. New England, Drake May had that game I was talking about. He needed to go out there and have that dominant performance game he had it yesterday. Miami's defense is historically bad to this point, but Drake May, man, what a performance yesterday. He showed out there that he is a legitimate NFL. He can be a legitimate NFL Pro Bowl caliber quarterback. And can he keep it going next week against Pittsburgh? I think he can. That'll be an interesting game, but I love seeing it out there last week, man. They look good, or yesterday, excuse me. They looked really good yesterday. And hopefully this team can win against Pittsburgh next week and be 2-1. And they have a slew of easy games afterwards. So they got there beat Pittsburgh next week. They will be in good shape. Last thing I want to talk about here, and another reason why I kind of, unfortunately, have to wrap it up early. I have college here a little bit, so it kind of hinders me a little bit in how long I can talk about these games, unfortunately, so I'm sorry for that. The Joe Burrow injury, yeah, Joe Burrow being out for now 3 months confirmed is a brutal loss. The team's now out of the wild card spot. Jake Browning or whatever, as he's not taking them there. He may have some good games, but it's not going to happen. They won, they're 2-0, but it's going to fall flat. When they have to play against Baltimore and division rivals and better teams, it's just not going to happen for them. It's not going to happen. Cincinnati, I think, can finish with 8 wins, but this team is not going to be a playoff team. And Joe Burrow, I'm going to make an early prediction now, I think is going to be a Los Angeles Ram in a few years. I think Stafford will be gone, and I think he's going to win out of Cincinnati, and I think you'll see him with Sean McVay. I really do. I think you're going to kind of have a Matt Stafford 2.0 with Joe Burrow coming out of a shitty organization and coming into Los Angeles and maybe going on to win a Super Bowl there. So that's my kind of early prediction for Joe Burrow, but what a blow, dude. What a blow to an MVP season, and his career is kind of starting to turn into a what if. You know, he had that great second year. They made the Super Bowl, but ain't done shit since. So, you know, it's looking tough for the Bengals. The Bengals really got to start looking at making some changes somewhere because Joe Burrow, and it's not working in Cincinnati right now. This team hasn't been in the playoffs in like 3 years now, and I don't think they're going to do it this year with Browning. And even if they do, whether they're going to get a 7th seed and get bounced out in the first round. So, I don't know, man. That's tough for Cincinnati. I feel bad for y'all, but something's going to change in Cincinnati soon. Whether or not it's Burrow getting traded or whatever, something's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen fast. It'll be, yeah, Burrow and Chase the 1 second, and the next season you won't have him anymore. So that's a really tough blow for this season for the Bengals. Maybe you could see Zach Taylor get fired, maybe. I don't know. But, man, tough blow there. That is it for today's podcast. Again, I apologize for not having to rush through some of these games. I wanted to talk about it a little more, but I do have college here very soon, and I have to get these up and edit and stuff. So kind of on a time crunch. I'm sorry, guys, with that. But, and I promise I try to get the best content I possibly can out for you guys. We'll get a video out no matter what. Thank you guys for coming out and supporting me again. And tomorrow we have Top 10 Tuesday, ranking my top 10s, and I cannot wait for that. And I will see you guys on the next one.